Good morning. On this week's episode of The Professor Helps, I'm going to talk to you about goals, reaching your goals, and failing when you set out your goals. So there's a phrase that I'm not really sure who said it, but reach for the moon, even if you fail, you'll land among the stars. And I've always been a very big fan of that phrase because it indicates that you're striving for more, you're striving for better. And even if you don't quite hit your goal, you still get a little bit closer than if you hadn't tried at all. So one of the things that I gave up in the beginning of the year is snoozing. And I've talked a lot about the fact that snoozing is my sixth love language. I really love to do it. It's something that people have talked to me about, said, hey, Jennifer, I think this is probably not the healthiest habit for you. I wasn't listening. I didn't want to hear it. And then I did some research and I guess I was finally ready to hear it. And I realized that it doesn't really serve me. And something that I'm trying very hard to do this year is to give up habits that don't serve me. For example, I gave up soda and I really thought that was going to be impossible, and it wound up being very easy. Don't think about it very much, except when I'm having a bad day. Then I think I might want a soda. But then I remember all the things that I'm doing to build a healthier lifestyle and to choose the option of not having the soda. So one of the things I decided to do at the beginning of the year is give up the snooze. And I have had a lot of success with it. And I was getting down on myself last week because I snoozed once for like 10 minutes. And I even tried to do this thing where it's like, I didn't actually go back to sleep, but I laid in bed and set an alarm so that way I wouldn't go back to sleep while I was lounging, which is what I was calling it. All dressed up to say that I did not actually make my goal that day of not snoozing. Yesterday, I snoozed 3 separate times before I woke up, and I was getting down on myself, and then I realized, the thing is though, since I gave up the snooze in January, it is April, and I can count on one hand how many times I've actually snoozed. Now, this does not account for the times when I slept in on purpose, which is very different from snoozing. So sleeping in on purpose means you don't set an alarm and you wake up when you wake up. That's a different story, and I'm not giving that one up. Snoozing is when you hit that snooze button and you don't get up and you go, I'm just going to sleep a little bit more. I'm going to sleep a little bit more. Well, I decided to attack that problem from the back end and go to bed earlier instead of binging that last Netflix show or staying up to do one more thing or honestly scroll on social media. I decided 10:30 p.m. That's it. That's the bedtime. And I cannot tell you how much better I feel now that I've gone to sleep. In fact, I made up a soundtrack. I talked last week about soundtracks, which is a book by Johnny Cuff talking about all the things that we say to ourselves that we can either lift ourselves up or we can push ourselves down. And one of the soundtracks that I came up with is Sleep Fuels Better Health. I go to bed nightly by whatever time works for you because I love myself. And it really, really helps to say that and to feel that. And then I have another one to avoid the snooze, which is no time for snoozing, time to start this amazing day. And it really helps most of the time. But the reason that I'm bringing all this up is because if you're in pursuit of a goal, I think it's really easy to get down on yourself when you don't hit perfection. Like if you don't get it every single time. But if I think about it, I started this in January. It's April. And I can count on my hand 5 times that I've snoozed or I've lounged or I've done something other than wake up to the alarm. And I think that's pretty amazing. And I'm doing pretty well in terms of like making that a goal. I'm not going to hit it right away. It's going to take time to get there. Another thing that Johnny Cuff says that I really, really like is like, if you're losing weight, how long did it take you to gain that weight? And how long have you been working on the goal? So for instance, I have been snoozing for well over 10 years. It's not going to take 10 days to turn that around. So he says, don't give 10 years to the weight and then 10 days to losing the weight. we're so disproportionate with this stuff. It's like, I'm going to start this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be perfect at it. It's like, no, you're really not, because it takes time to build a habit, and it takes time to follow that. And sometimes you don't feel like it, so you don't do it. Give yourself some grace, pick yourself back up, and try again tomorrow. That's all any of us can do. And the truth is that it's very easy to beat yourself up. I mean, I don't know if you're anything like me, but it's very easy to be like, God, I said I was going to not snooze, and I've snoozed. I've snoozed a little bit. But I mean, really, I think altogether, in thinking about it, I've snoozed 5 times since January, which is amazing when you consider I spent almost every day before that snoozing at least 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a win that I'm working on the goal, and I'm in the stars right now. I will eventually get to the moon where I wake up to the alarm and I don't have any thoughts of snoozing, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself grace. I'm going to talk to you about this because I think that it's important in my weekly message to motivate you, inspire you, and frustrate you. What goal are you working on that maybe you have a little bit tougher of a barometer than you think, than you should, really? Like, if you're trying to lose weight, cut it in half. If you want to lose 10 pounds, work on losing 5 and then do it again. If you have things that you're trying to do, ask for an accountability partner. Ask someone to help you and say, hey, just check in with me, see where I'm at on my goals. I do not have an accountability partner for the snooze because I had so many people try to tell me how important it was, and I didn't listen for so long that when it came to it, I said, you know what, I'm going to have to change this on my own. However, I am finding there is a ton of value in having accountability partners, so I might reevaluate that decision. In the meantime, what do I want you to take away from this? What goal are you working on? And what's your barometer for hitting it? Have you thought about what that looks like? And if you're not hitting it, are you beating yourself up and then just giving up? Or are you picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and saying, okay, I'm going to try again tomorrow. I'm going to try again in 10 minutes. Depending on what your goal is, that could really change things as to how long you take in between reps. So my goal every week is to come to you, not because I'm the expert, but because I have advice to share. And also my hope is to motivate you, inspire you, and frustrate you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Professor Helps, and I am the professor, signing off.